Hello guys, welcome to Air Tycoon Online 2 Let's Play Episode 4. As you can see from right here, I have not played this game in quite a while, a few days actually, and almost half my value is now piled up just in cash instead of aircraft. But I'm still closing the gap, but slowly, towards Eagle Airlines, so I'm still catching him up, just not as fast as I'd usually like to. Um, but anyways, basically what I want to do this episode, because right now I'm still waiting for the 767-300 to come out as a replacement for a lot of my Illusion 62M. My Illusion 62M, they still have good lifespan in them. Like, as you can see, these ones are starting at about 70 months left. But because I think I've reached the point where for my current World Traveler Index, which is 3023, basically I've reached the point where 90% of the routes that I would usually make, I've already made. Like, I've gotten to the point where I'm making kind of routes like this, like Panama to Munich. And yes, they do like make good money. Like, this is just one half of a stopover route, as you can see, and the other half is making an equivalent amount. Like, that can't even make sure an Illusion 62M is full. So if I keep making routes even smaller than routes like these, look at that route I just showed you. There was actually quite a big route, but if I start to make routes smaller than routes like these, basically, my main concern is not will they fill up now, but in the future, like very like soon. Like, I think the Boeing 767-300 comes out next year, which is my planned replacement aircraft. What's it called? Routes like these simply won't keep aircraft full anymore, and then like, if I can't fill up those airplanes, then I won't be making money as fast as I can now. Obviously, if I was replacing aircraft and spending all this money now, it would still help my curve, my company value curve. Like, as you can see, basically, if you're watching on a phone, take your phone and rotate it to the side and look from a very sharp angle to your screen, and you can see that this line is basically completely straight, if not decreasing in steepness here. Ever since our alliance reformed, and I lost about 200k of cargo income from code shares I was getting from somebody helping boosting me into first, essentially. Um, but anyways, my alliance broke up, so I now joined a new alliance. I basically think that alliances in my world are just, let's see, basically Parrot Airlines and Eagle Airlines. I'm pretty sure they're doing some kind of code sharing thing where they're code sharing to each other. Because originally Parrot Airlines was code sharing with me, but because I have all of 4 competition routes, like in cargo, and if you count the number of competition routes here that aren't stopovers, like basically they're all stopover routes. So I had nothing to code share to him, but he had things to code share to me. So that wasn't exactly helpful for him. Yeah, like, as you can see, I don't have a single route, passenger route competition, which is not a code share. So I could not code share anything with him except for monopoly routes, which is a really bad deal for me, and he didn't want that because he's a nice guy. So yeah, anyways, that's basically how my company is looking right now. But I found something very interesting earlier a few days ago, and that is I found on YouTube this guy, Dante Galactic, this airline here, and he had the biggest net profit I have ever seen in a game. Like, as you can see here, 5.4 million, and I want to analyze this to see if a player, basically who was playing legitimately without using credits, could ever reach a company value similar to this person. I can tell you immediately that he uses a vast amount of credits. Like, as you can see, his airport profit is 2.6 million, and each airport, of course, costs like 30 to 60 gems. I can't remember what the minimum price for an airport is. And additionally, like, his maintenance depot savings, he has 74 of them, and he's saving almost a million K from that, and all sorts of incredible numbers. I remember seeing here, yeah, look, all of his airport have the full fuel tank, lounge, and maintenance depot. So basically, he's completely decked out. He's got as many possible benefits from credits as possible, and he's making 5.4 million. Oh yeah, also I took a screenshot of his routes. This is his top few routes. As you see, he's even using like the VIP things to boost the occupancy within his routes. So, like, all his routes from Hong Kong, for example, now are given additional value. And look at these things. They're making like 20 million for an A380. Yeah, I can make more with 4 Illusion 62Ms, which actually cost less than an A380. Um, but I also have more expenses in that case. But anyways, basically, I wanted to see if a legit player could ever compete. So the first thing you have to notice is his investment expense. He usually uses investment expenses such as what's it called, the service satisfaction investment expense, and that would greatly increase his occupancy and competition routes. But as you can see, he turned it off specifically to make this financial report look more impressive than it usually is. So usually is what's it called? His expenses are much higher than they are now. Additionally, we can see that his aircraft depreciation is 1.65 million K, which is a hell of a lot. Like if we subtract 1.65 million from this number here, we get a more reasonable value of about 3.8 million K on his net profit. And if we were to subtract the airport profit from that, we would see he comes very close to a player like me, where his net profit is more like, or his net gain in value is more like 1.5 K per turn, or 1.5 million K per turn. So, also, if we go to switch to this tab, as you can see, once again, his investment expense is 0, and it dropped from 600K this time. Um, if he still has the same depreciation, by the way. This is just a turn where he's not making as much profit because, of course, this is a downtick. And if we take this turn and subtract his depreciation from his net profit, we can see that his what's it called, net gain in value is only about 2 million K. Now, I thought this was interesting because looking at these numbers, I was thinking, how much would I have to make in my world to catch up to this? Now, first of all, because I didn't start at the beginning of the game, that's an extreme disadvantage for me because I have 10 years less to work with. And basically, I did some math, taking the average between these two financial reports, and considering all in all, basically I found that I would have to be making a 1.75 million net gain value by 1985. And this year is 1985, and I definitely don't have that. I have a 1.5 million net profit, which is fantastic, except due to my aircraft depreciation at around 400K, I'm only really gaining value of about 1 million K each turn. And simply put, I won't even get really close to catching up to that that player, especially with the kind of luck I had in this channel. Like I think there's 400 remaining turns, so I probably will finish if I keep playing at this level above 600 million K value. But that's still not enough to catch up to him. And here's what I think I would need. In order to catch up to a number one player like that I was just using the example of, you need to be really lucky. Your World Traveler Index would have to be really high. This way, instead of what I'm doing now, which is just waiting on my money because there's nothing to spend it on that's remotely efficient until the 767-300 comes out, which instead of spending my money, I could continue to open routes. Like, I would never really ever have to stop opening routes. Wow, not many routes from Charlotte are taken. Let's see if I can find anything. But yeah, basically, I would never stop taking routes. If I never stopped taking routes, and I could keep opening more and more and more new routes, and they would all be making money, and I could have the confidence, like I did with my earlier routes, that I would still be making a profit if what was I gonna say? If I replaced it with a larger airplane, for example, I could connect Stuttgart to a small city like San Diego. Like there's basically infinite routes like this. You know what I mean? Except I know my Illusion 62M can make money on this route, but if I replace it with a larger plane, which I'll eventually have to do, I don't think it'd be very profitable. It would be really close to breaking even. Now, of course, that's still better than sitting on money like I am now. But then the second problem I have to consider is if I do keep opening new routes, which make a marginal amount of money but still do make money, eventually I'm going to end up with an immense amount of aircraft. Like I have 1,300 aircraft right now, and I think a limit for the number of aircraft I can have before it becomes impossible to deal with. And by impossible, I mean basically I have to request over 100 aircraft per day with a 30-minute wait between each one. So that takes a minimum of 5 hours of remembering to request aircraft every hour. And basically, I determined that if I have more than 2,000 aircraft, it'll be logistically impossible for me to maintain my fleet to be within 20 years new because I simply won't be able to request aircraft fast enough. There's definitely not 5 hours every day. I can be ready every 30 minutes to request aircraft. Well, I probably could make it happen, but chances are, just a few days where you're not able to request aircraft, and all of a sudden your company's diving downhill because there's 300 aircraft. I have for miss aircraft replacements for 3 days. Think about it. I will have what's it called, 300 aircraft, which are too old essentially, and just causing me to lose so much money. Um, yeah, so that's really, really not practical. I'm just looking here. I feel like I can make this route work. Tucson to Shanghai to hopefully I can find a larger city in Asia somewhere. Wow, there you go. That is a fantastic route. So see, if I bother to look hard, there's obviously still many many routes that work. Probably my guess is right now with this current World Traveler Index about 500 more routes than I have that I would take, just 250 aircraft. Um, which would obviously stop my company from flatlining like it is now. Uh, but it's sometimes exceptionally not motivating when it takes so long to find a singular route. Um, yeah, and I was playing with what's it called, competition lines off too, so hopefully I didn't miss something there. But essentially, I find that to find routes that work is an exceptionally high amount of effort at this point. And I certainly would do it, but especially when the World Traveler Index was low, like it dropped below like a 27, like 2,800 for a while. Even like I think on some of these like dips here, it was like 2,800 just flat, which is exceptionally unmotivating because a city like Shanghai, like get like dips to like the point where the business and tour are basically just 300, and that feels kind of depressing when like a major city in real life and a major city in this game is small to the point where it's just unrealistic. Um, and it feels not so good to play when your cities get that small. But as you can see, obviously I was missing a lot of very very profitable routes as I'm making now, um, and I guess this will make me go and look for more routes to make because as I'm seeing now, there's certainly many more available, especially in cities I don't check often. Um, but yeah, that's basically me comparing my company to that other company I saw earlier, and I just determined that it would take an amount of luck in getting a good World Traveler Index and a good amount of luck in getting a not too competitive world. Um, so like the players in your world aren't all gemmers, and then you could theoretically get a company as large as that guy's, and I will see if I can get close. I mean, if I can hit 1.75 million value by 1980 game per turn, or 1990, it's still possible. There's still 30 years from then on. Um, so it'll certainly be interesting. So, yeah. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys next time.